Between 2005 and 2006, the Eto'o Drogba rivalry peaked. During that period, they met 5 times at club and national level. While things were certainly interesting at club level, as their clubs Chelsea and Barcelona developed a fierce rivalry, it was at national level that the real drama ensued. It was breathtaking. On the 9th of April 2005, the big one happened at the Stade Félix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium in Cote d'Ivoire. The stakes had never been higher. The match was billed as the African match of the century, so much so that Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich and coach Jose Mourinho flew by private jet to be present, even though there was a war going on in the country. It was reported that Eto'o offered 22 million Central African CFA francs to his teammates if they won, to motivate them. As it stood, there were 2 games left. Cote d'Ivoire were on 19 points, Cameroon on 17, while Egypt on 13 could no longer qualify. Cameroon couldn't even afford a draw, as Cote d'Ivoire would then need a draw in Sudan on the final day to qualify. They simply had to win. Anything else was a disaster. For Cote d'Ivoire, this was it. A game to unite the nation. All they had to do was win this game in front of their fans and they could pop the champagne bottles and give the country something to cheer about in the middle of war. It was 2 francophone countries up against each other. 2 countries that considered themselves rivals. 2 boasting the best strikers on the continent and 2 of the top 5 strikers on the planet. The elephants up against the indomitable lions. The game began. It didn't take long for both sides to start attacking with intent, as they both set for the opening goal. It soon became end-to-end action, with snapshots and audacious attempts on goal in both posts happening. The shots were flying. Kalou, Dindan, Eto'o and Webo had made attempts, but Drogba came closest as he stretched to turn in a low cross from Dindan. He was thwarted by a masterful remontala tackle. Drogba came close again, heading powerfully from a free kick, but it was saved by Souleymane Amidou in goal for Cameroon. Webo then sent the ball over from a great chance after chesting it down, and that was a warning for the hosts. Not long after, in the 30th minute, it finally happened. Cameroon took the lead through Webo, who stretched the latch onto a sublime ball over the top from Solomon Olembe. 1-0, and the stadium went quiet. But the lead didn't last long. 8 minutes later, Didier Drogba replied. Aruna Dindana got the better of Pierre Wome on the right and laid it on a plate for Drogba to hit a fierce shot into the Cameroonian net to raise the roof in the stadium. 1-1. But just before halftime, Cameroon were ahead again. The Ivorian defense slept, allowing Jean Makoun to set up Webo for a free header in the box. Halftime, 2-1 to the hosts, after an insanely entertaining half of end-to-end football. The second half began the same way the first half had gone. Both teams came flying out in search of goals. Cameroon to try to close out the game, Cote d'Ivoire to try to level things again. It was the Ivorians that struck next, however. Again, it was that man, Drogba. He lined up a free kick on the left and thundered it into the Cameroonian goal. The crowd went wild once again. 2-2. The game that was billed as the Eto'o Drogba show had now become a shootout between Drogba and Webo. Eto'o had been quiet. For the next 35 minutes, both teams searched frantically for the winner. Cote d'Ivoire really wanted to qualify on the day and celebrate in front of their fans, while Cameroon really needed to win or their hopes were as good as gone. After many attempts and chances, the winner finally came in the 85th minute. It was the visitors who got it. Achille Webo once again with a goal, heading in from a rebound after a Jeremy free kick hit the post. Cote d'Ivoire didn't have it in them to come back a third time and faded until the game was over. 3-2 it ended, and everything had changed. Cameroon were on 20 points with the home game against Egypt left. Cote d'Ivoire were still on 19 and needed a win in Sudan, while hoping Cameroon would drop points in their game. On that final match day, more drama ensued. Cameroon were 1-up after the 21st minute through Rudolph Douala and kept their lead for nearly a further hour. Meanwhile, in Sudan, the Ivorians were coasting. 3-0 with a brace from Dindan and a goal from Akale. They were hoping for a miracle in Yaoundé, even with the knowledge that the Egyptians had nothing to play for, and it finally came in the 79th minute through Mohamed Shoki, who headed in a cross. Sudan would put one back in the 89th minute against the Ivorians, but the real drama was still to come in Yaoundé. Cameroon won a penalty in the 94th minute, and left-back Pierre Wome took it. he hit the post. In Abidjan and Omdurman, where the Ivorian players were watching in horror, there were wild celebrations. Cote d'Ivoire had done it. Didier Drogba's country would be going to the World Cup for the first time ever, and at the expense of Samuel Eto'o's. Eto'o himself had been underwhelming in the qualifiers, scoring only 4 to Drogba's 9, with only 1 coming in the final 5 games when the pressure was on, and less than Webo, who turned up with 6, including the hat-trick in Abidjan. In these qualifiers, Drogba emerged the victor. The two would meet again in the AFCON 2006 quarterfinals. Both failed to score during the game, but would each score the opening penalties for their teams in the shootout. Everybody else would score theirs until the penalties came back around to Eto'o and Drogba again. Eto'o stepped up and skied his second attempt, opening the way for Drogba to smash his in and send Cote d'Ivoire through. This would be their last time facing each other at national level, but they continued to duel at club level, with Samuel Eto'o ultimately coming out on top. Eventually, these two would define an era and be the example of what it means to be world-class and to do it all. Generations will look back on them and marvel at their impact on a continental and global level, and how highly they raised the bar and broke records along the way. Despite all the challenges and rejections they both faced in their journeys, they showed uncommon resilience and a drive that every young star must emulate. Didier Drogba and Samuel Eto'o left the game far better than they met it. Cheers to two of the greatest.